Yeah, all right. Yeah, so today we've been hearing about agents, a bunch of LLM models, and today, right now, we're going to talk about compute and how Exabits is the engine of AI. So what that means, there's a lot of misconception on where there's a lot of misconceptions of what people see us as in this ecosystem. For us, we define ourselves as the base layer of compute. So what we do is we take the NVIDIAs, the AMDs, and make them those GPUs AI ready, which enables other marketplaces such as Aether, Akash, Hyperbolic, IONET, Fala, Nebula, and EMC to be AI ready as well. So what that means is that we make the downstream partners, as well as AI companies and Web 2 and Web 3 companies, AI ready to be using sort of compute that comes from our ecosystem. So as you know, the supply of compute is so constrained that the demand outstrips it by a factor of 10. We're seeing all the large incumbents taking up all the supply that NVIDIA and AMD is pushing out. So if you try to get GPUs yourself straight from the suppliers, you'll be waiting months, if not years, to just have the piece of that allocation. What we've seen DeepSeek do early this January is that they made an announcement that they pushed out their model using only $5.6 million worth of compute, which then caused a panic in the market, with NVIDIA losing the largest market cap in history. But from our perspective, even if this was true, there still is going to be a sort of bottleneck in the ecosystem. And what we're seeing from a compute perspective, that there's going to be exponential growth of people needing compute, right? What that means is we interpret it as cheaper models, but then more and more people are enabled, and more people can now build compute AI models on their own. And we're seeing the market adapt to that, right? NVIDIA pushed out their H100s, they just pushed out their H200s, and now the Blackwells are coming out, being more efficient than any of the ones that are already in the market. And a lot of the large incumbents, these are some of the announcements that they made this year pertaining to AI. Meta spending $65 billion, Microsoft $80 billion, and then Stargate, which is a consortium of OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank. They're spending about $500 billion to build out their own data center just to curtail this AI boom. And then Grok, right? So Grok, they built out their first Grok 2 model with 100,000 GPUs. And then now analysts say that they've used about 200,000 for their recently deployed Grok 3. So what does that mean for Exabits? This is how we're trying to address this ecosystem. We're creating AI-ready GPUs, as I mentioned before, and we're also playing on the hardware and software side, making it 4 times faster for people to use our models. For customers, we're saving them from between 40 to 70% off of the large incumbents, AWS, Microsoft, and Google. And we're also servicing AI companies, gaming, and in the Web 2 and Web 3 space. But the Web 3 component of Exabits is where we like to highlight for our audience. We want to financialize compute, make compute as an asset well into the future. And you can think of it as a tokenized AWS or a tokenized NVIDIA without the need for us to actually build the chips themselves. So this is a video of our data center in Texas, where we have over 4,000 H200s, of which Near is running and testing right now. So Near is one of our first customers using the H200s. So this is where we sit. NVIDIA, AMD makes the chips, and Exabits fixes it and optimizes it and makes sure that, okay, all these clusters are plug and play for AI companies, as opposed to going through the decentralized compute networks and relying that, okay, can their GPUs actually be feasible for us? Instead, they rely on us to push out their business themselves. So this is our war chest. We have experience in building and deploying over 100 data centers worldwide. We have over 65,000 GPUs available, of which 4,000 is the H200s, 3,000 the H100s, and we have a bunch of MI50s and RTX 4090s for inference tasks. You can't see it, but these are all the regional hubs that we have for our GPUs. So if you need specific locations for your GPUs, you can just go to us and say, hey, I want 400 H100s in France or Europe, or even I want to access the H200s that we have in Texas. So what we do with all those GPUs is we spread it out to the customers, right? So whether you're an individual developer needing small amounts of workloads, you can use our on-demand, which is live now. A bunch of developers and small startups are using us. And if you're a larger company that needs really customized clusters, we're happy to help you build it also, and even deploy it. So with our experience in building all those data centers in the past, we've essentially cut off the time to market, right? If you needed a really customized solution, it'd take 4 to 8 months if you're lucky. But by going to Exabits, we have the Rolodex ready. 1.5 to 2 months, you'll be out and live and pushing it in the market. So what we want to really emphasize is we're not creating chips. We're pushing out compute. And compute is essentially our asset that we like to highlight. Again, make GPUs AI ready. We have a lot of software that optimizes. We deal with load balancing. And compared to some of our other Web 2 clients, we're about 4 times faster than training them using a comparison of DeepSeek's models. Another important thing is what Ilya explained earlier. We have TEE environments also within our GPUs. So that bypasses the FHEs and also the ZKs, which makes it more secure from our standpoint. And a case study. So we have 8-figure ARR. And then this is some actual case studies from one of our clients. We've increased their training speed by about 30%. These guys were previously at AWS. And we reduced their cost by about 72%. So they're paying $147,000 on a monthly basis when they're at AWS. Now they switched over to Exabits. They're paying about $43,000. So the timeline of these guys switching over, it's super fast. And these guys have logged in a multi-year contract with us. Yeah, so these are some of our partners, customers, and distributors. Nethermind, one of the first speakers, Near, one of our newest customers and partners, and a whole bunch of other protocols, whether you see it as decentralized compute protocols, Aether, IONET, Akash, or even like Web 2 companies who've also, like Vigil, and also some universities have also started testing and using our supply. And why Web 3, right? So that's the sort of pinnacle portion that we'd like to push on. So we want to push mass adoption on the options of anyone can build AI, and we want to make it as accessible as possible. We want to address the market inefficiencies by using a decentralized compute business model. We want user-owned AI. We recently joined the AI Agent Alliance. And we want to bridge Web 2 and Web 3. So we have a bunch of Web 2 customers and a bunch of Web 3 customers. None of that matters to us, right? Like as long as you need compute, we're here to provide that. And another thing that I like to highlight is that we want all market participants to benefit from what we're building. And we've designed that in our tokenomics, right? So Exabits sits at the center. Investors, whether they're retail or institutional, can contribute to the network, and they help us scale. And we'll create compute derivatives on top of that, right? So what that means is you can use compute, the compute resources within a network, have a measure of that, and then we essentially measure out how much revenue and how much profit we can take, and we give that back to everyone. Yeah, final thoughts here is that we have over 4,000 H200s, 3,000 H100s, and incoming about a couple hundred GB200s and a couple thousand 5090s. So if you're open to partner, we have a lot of compute to spare. Investors, if you want to get into a new type of asset class, help us scale this. Compute providers, if you have a lot of GPUs on the institutional, the cluster size, we're happy to talk with you. And distributors, right? So we work with IONET, Aether, and Akash. We treat them as distributors and partners. And if you have a huge Rolodex of potential customers who are having this problem, who need compute, we're happy to work with you and provide that to you as well. Thanks. Any questions? Okay, thanks.